Scientists just analyzed 13 years of Bitcoin price data, every single day from 2013 to 2026, to find out when you're most likely to make money on a buy. What they found surprised me, and for Canadian investors specifically, there's an angle to this story that nobody else is covering. I'm your crypto compass. Let's get your bearings. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what 13 years of daily Bitcoin returns actually look like, which days consistently outperform, why that pattern exists, and what it means for Canadians trying to figure out when to put money into the market. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether timing your Bitcoin buys around holidays actually works, and which Canadian holidays give you a quiet edge that nobody's talking about yet. Let's start with the research. CoinGecko, one of the world's largest crypto data platforms, published a comprehensive study covering Bitcoin's daily returns from May 2013 through May 2026. That's 13 years, over 5,000 individual trading days, and one clear pattern emerged. On US public holidays, Bitcoin's average next day return was positive 0.77%. On regular non-holiday days, that number drops to just positive 0.19%. Now, before you go all in every Thanksgiving, let me put that in context. We're talking about an average across hundreds of observations. There are losing holiday sessions too, but the pattern holds across 13 years of bull markets and bear markets. And that kind of consistency in crypto data is actually rare. The single best day in the dataset, New Year's Day, average next day return of positive 2.01%, and it happened across 13 separate observations with an 84.6% win rate. That's not noise. That's a repeatable result across a full decade of boom and bust cycles. So the next question, and this is what I'll answer later in the video, is whether any of this applies to Canadian holidays like Victoria Day, Canada Day, or Thanksgiving. I'll get to that, but first, let me explain why this effect exists at all. Now that you know what the data shows, in the next section, I'll walk you through the mechanism behind it. Here's the reason this pattern exists, and it's quite intuitive once you see it. On US public holidays, the biggest players in global crypto markets are offline. The large desks at hedge funds, banks, and asset managers are closed or running skeleton crews. That means the primary source of large sell orders is absent from the market. When large institutional sellers step back, the natural buying pressure that's always present doesn't have to absorb as much selling. Prices tend to drift upward, or at least stabilize. Then, when institutions return the next trading day, they often buy back in right balance, which produces the uptick the CoinGecko data captures as a holiday return. It's not magic. It's not a guaranteed formula. It's a structural quirk of how global financial markets work, and it's been consistent enough over 13 years to be worth understanding. So, here's the question I promised to answer. Canadian holidays aren't in this dataset. Victoria Day is today. Canada Day is July 1. Thanksgiving is in October. Do those work the same way for Canadian Bitcoin investors? I'll give you the straight answer right after this. If you're finding this useful, hitting subscribe means you'll catch the next video. I cover Canadian crypto every week, and I keep it grounded in data, not hype. Here's the honest answer. Canadian statutory holidays: Victoria Day, Canada Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Remembrance Day don't appear in the CoinGecko dataset because the study was built on US holiday observations, but the underlying mechanism applies in a meaningful way. Think about it like this: when the TSX is closed and Canadian retail investors have a day off, domestic trading on platforms like Coinbase Canada, Newton, and ShakePay is dominated by retail buyers. The major US institutional desks are still active because it's not a US holiday, but the Canadian domestic sell pressure profile shifts toward retail. Victoria Day is today, and it's actually worth noting. It falls in May, which is historically one of the stronger months for Bitcoin returns in the CoinGecko dataset, and it's a long weekend, meaning Canadian retail investors have more time to research, assess, and execute buys calmly rather than during a hectic workday. Canada Day on July VOC is another one to watch. It lands mid-summer when US institutional desks often thin out anyway for the July 4 US holiday the next business day, giving it a double layer of reduced institutional selling. Now, I want to be completely clear. None of this means you should try to time the market based on a calendar. The CoinGecko researchers say it explicitly. Holiday effects are averages across hundreds of observations. Any individual session could go against the trend. What we're talking about are small structural tendencies, not guarantees. The practical takeaway: if you're already dollar cost averaging on a fixed schedule and your next scheduled buy happens to land on a Canadian holiday, there's real data-backed reasoning to suggest you're not in a worse position than usual. That's a modest but genuine insight to carry. Now, let me give you the practical framework for using all of this without overcomplicating your life. Let me be direct about what the CoinGecko study actually confirms, because it's not buy on holidays. It's something simpler. Consistency beats timing. Every time. The study found that the average daily return across all 5,200 plus days in its dataset was positive. Small, but consistently positive. For investors who stayed in the market and kept buying through bear markets, crashes, and geopolitical shocks. The investors who captured those long-run returns were not the ones who perfectly timed every entry. They were the ones who kept showing up. For Canadians specifically, the practical framework looks like this. Set up a recurring buy on a registered Canadian exchange. Coinbase Canada, Newton, and ShakePay all support automated DCA. Pick the one that fits your budget and comfort level. Choose a frequency that matches your pay cycle. Weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Then let it run, and it's fileless. If you want to add a small tactical layer on top of that framework, you can time your scheduled buys to align with Canadian long weekends when you remember to. Victoria Day, Canada Day, Thanksgiving, those are your Canadian holiday windows. That's an optional refinement on top of a solid base plan. The single most important thing you can do today, especially on a day when Bitcoin is down and the market is flashing extreme fear, is not to panic sell and not to try to predict the exact bottom. The data over 13 years is unambiguous on this point. The investors who held through every red day, including days like today, came out ahead. Here's the full picture. A major 13-year study of Bitcoin daily returns found that US public holidays consistently produce better than average next-day returns, positive 0.77% versus 0.19%. Because institutional sell pressure drops when the big desks go offline. New Year's Day leads the dataset at positive 2.01%, with an 84.6% win rate across 13 years. Canadian holidays aren't in the study, but the same structural logic applies. Reduced institutional presence means reduced sell pressure, which is a quiet edge for retail buyers. Victoria Day, Canada Day, and Canadian Thanksgiving are your three best bets. But the real lesson isn't about picking the perfect day. It's that consistent, calm investing beats emotional market timing. Over every time frame the data covers, the investors who come out ahead are the ones who never stopped buying, including on days like today. If this kind of data-grounded Canadian crypto content is useful to you, subscribe and hit the bell. I put this out every week, and I keep the noise out. My next video covers what's happening right now with today's Victoria Day Bitcoin flash crash. Why a single social media post wiped $500 million from the market overnight, and what Canadian investors should actually do. It's going to be right here. What Canadian holiday do you think is the best window to buy Bitcoin? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious whether people are already factoring this in.